Ice is an excellent preserver of everything that has accumulated on Earth for millions of years. If glaciers had not begun to melt, we would never have made so many discoveries for history, archaeology, and biology. People have found many different things in the thawed permafrost: dinosaur skeletons, mammoth mummies, sunken ships, and ancient equipment. You are on the Top Facts channel, and today we've collected a series of amazing things found in ice. Find a warm spot and let's start watching. Let us start with something from the modern era. When humans conquered the cold, they could afford to have some fun. The sight of frozen pants standing on their own, without the top half of a human, reminds us of Thomas Mayne Reid's novel about the Headless Horseman. However, this fun is actually practiced by the residents of Minnesota, where winters are extremely cold and everything left outside turns to ice. Why do they freeze clothes? Jeans, t-shirts, and sweaters turn into stiff structures, creating the illusion of a scarecrow in the snow. Perhaps it's just out of boredom, as there's not many predators to scare away in such frost. You have to admit, leaving your pants outside is easier than making a snowman. A mystery filmed at Utah Lake attracted the attention of a huge number of people due to hints of extraterrestrial activity. Two guys stumbled upon a mysterious circle in the ice, about 5 feet in diameter. It was full of small holes that seemed to emanate from the center, according to some logic. When they touched the holes, they discovered some kind of slime inside. Some called them alien eggs. When the clip went viral, viewers worldwide began to wonder what kind of miracle they were witnessing. Skeptics scoffed that someone just spilled coffee and created a galactic puzzle. But the truth eventually came out. It turned out these were not alien eggs, but an art project by a student from an American university. The holes represented numerous eyes, and the project's goal was to make people guess what it was. Strange, right? The research took 3 years, and during that time, people have pondered something much more useful. Just one discovery can change our understanding of human evolution as a species. The creature called the Minnesota Iceman could very well have been a species that did not go extinct and continues to live somewhere in remote areas. It's believed this species was a transitional form from Neanderthals to humans. A half-man, half-ape with a flattened nose, standing 6 feet tall, covered in dark brown hair, found in the ice, did not die in the distant past, but became a hunting victim. Someone shot him in the back. The bullet went through one eye and somehow lost the other. Interestingly, the specimen found in Siberia was then secretly transported to the United States by a private millionaire philanthropist from California. It was then exhibited at local fairs in the 1960s and 70s. This is why scientists believe the Minnesota Iceman might have been a hoax. The scientific community does not deny that an ancient snowman could have survived as a species, just relocated. On September 23, 1953, this creature was allegedly discovered by the father of the man in the video, who claimed it was neither an ape nor an ancient human. They kept it frozen for 65 years. A nice greeting from the past, you might say. In comparison, this specimen was quite small, and notably, the hairy creature was missing one leg. There were rumors that scientists even took a DNA sample, but its origin remains a mystery. Enthusiasts claim that this creature might be from another planet. If it's from the planet of the apes, well, we might consider it an alien ape. Jokes aside, I'm puzzled by its thick, shiny fur. It very much resembles synthetic hair, and something you would find on a doll head. What do you think about this? In Los Angeles, during the construction of a subway line, workers stumbled upon some amazing artifacts. They found unknown animal bones that probably laid there for many thousands of millions of years. Later, the skeleton was identified. Archaeologists claimed that they found a giant ground sloth. These prehistoric mammals roamed here more than 11,000 years ago. You might think that a sloth is a slow, small, cute creature with long limbs. And you would be right. But these ancient beasts were huge, taller than the average human. In addition to the sloth, fragments of other mammals were found at the excavation site. It remains a mystery whether that sloth was an herbivore or not, but there's definitely plenty to think about. On the icy expanses of the Yukon in Canada, gold miners found something even cooler than gold. They discovered a wolf pup mummy with preserved fur and teeth. It was established that this species lived there more than 50,000 years ago. After examining its body, it was found that the wolf pup was only 7 weeks old when it died, 50,000 years ago. It turned out that its genetic lineage goes back to the Ice Age wolves that inhabited what is now Russia. Geneticists were able to extract a sequence of the entire DNA genome, and since its internal organs were preserved, they even determined the pup's last meal. Turns out it was salmon. This is the most complete wolf mummy ever found, and since it was female, they named her Zur, meaning wolf in the language of the indigenous people. Even after thousands of years, the woolly rhinoceros was still discovered on the planet, and someone even managed to touch its fluffy fur. In Siberia, researchers found the remains of a young rhinoceros in the permafrost and named it Sasha. The discovery was dated about 10,000 years ago, and thanks to the ice, the body retained its shape quite well. Scientists hope to obtain DNA data and piece together the species' evolutionary history. Look, we can fully examine its features, ears and teeth, even pieces of its horn. It weighs quite heavily, 130 pounds, and looks as if it was severely bitten. Scientists are still studying this specimen, and admit it, a rhinoceros in Siberia is something new, even if it was well long forgotten in the ice. The thawing of permafrost on Earth reveals many wonderful relics from the past. In the Russian Arctic, they found a perfectly preserved bear. Deer were digging through the snow and soil searching for food, and they found the remains first, and later, the relic was handed over to scientists. They were amazed by the preservation quality. The bear in the ice remained almost in its original state. An intact nose, teeth, and internal organs gave insight that it was an ancient relative of the brown bear. It was calculated that the mummified remains of the cave bear were 39,500 years old. This is an unprecedented discovery, providing scientists with invaluable information about the animal world. Two friends were exploring the shores of the Missouri River when they came across something incredible: a massive skull. The skull of an animal by itself is not such a rare find, but it's important to understand how old it is. If the remains are fossilized, then it's probably a rare historical artifact. Upon closer examination, they realized that it was the skull of a large horned animal resembling a bison. However, it was not a modern bison, but an extinct one. Judging by its size, it was extremely large. Scientists concluded that this was a relic of the Ice Age and did not match any modern species. An amazing find was made in 2007 by a hunter and reindeer herder in Yamal. In the upper reaches of the Urabe River, he discovered a creature that looked like a baby elephant. But how could this be in Siberia? It remains perfectly preserved in the permafrost. Scientists examined the body and reported that the mammoth calf was only about a month old when she died in a flood. This happened around 42,000 years ago. But scientists were able to study all the details thoroughly. Most likely, the baby fell into a mud pit and got trapped. This is still the most common death of elephants today. Viewer's Choice section. This incredible discovery was made by a mountaineer who got lost among icy peaks and stumbled upon this strange body. He immediately contacted authorities and handed the mummy over for examination. Those who have seen the photo already suggested that this was an ancient body and was treated with a special method to prevent decomposition. They say it was covered with some kind of balm or algae. What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments below. An ordinary day of fishing turned the life of this young fisherman upside down. He came across an unexpected sight. Under the ice on the frozen lake surface, they saw something dark. It even seemed that it was stuck. Upon coming closer, the child was amazed to discover that a majestic deer had frozen in the ice, its body half trapped in the icy frame, as it had frozen halfway through. Its neck and spine curved above the frozen water. Most likely, it was fleeing a predator, but sadly fell to the ice trying to survive. Or perhaps something was broken, like a leg or a neck. and then sadly simply got stuck in this trap. The cold didn't give it much time, and the ice engulfed this unfortunate animal. In 2018, Norwegian researchers and archaeologists made an important discovery in the inland county. There in the mountainous area, they found in ice preserved ancient skis. As the glacier began to melt, the tip of the ski poked out from under the snow. This was the second pair found. The first previously discovered skis were estimated to be around 1,300 years old. They had to extract this using an ice axe and hot water as to not to try and damage the wooden equipment. Upon inspecting the design, experts highly praised the ski's craftsmanship and the high standards of skiing in ancient times. It's interesting to think about those who lost them and under what circumstances. In 1915, a ship named Endurance, one of the two vessels of the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expeditions, reached the southernmost point of its journey and was about to return, but the ice began to move in a harsh section of the ocean. The ship was literally trapped in ice, crushing the hull, and the crew fought for their vessel for 3 days, trying to pump water from the holds in minus 17 degrees Fahrenheit. But evacuation became inevitable, and while the wreckage was afloat, people managed to collect the maximum content of the holds and cabins. In 2022, the wreckage of the ship was found at a depth of about 10,000 feet in surprisingly good condition. The ship's structure did not collapse, and even traces of paint were clearly visible. Many details such as hatches, ladders, and fittings remained intact. The ship's final resting place is now under the protection of the Antarctic Treaty, and the vessel has been declared a historic monument. Winter is a harsh season for everyone, especially for animals that still need to go out and search for food. When the temperature drops below minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the chances of survival are equally low for all. Many animals turn into frozen statues. They sadly just freeze in place. Of course, people came to the rescue, and if there's a chance, save whoever they can, be it a wolf or a deer. On a clear winter morning, a woman enjoyed the bright rays of the sun and decided to capture a beautiful scene when a gray fur on the porch railing caught her attention. When she dug out the creature, she was saddened. It turned out a squirrel had frozen here last night, trying to find shelter from the merciless cold. Yes, this squirrel became a sad symbol of the harshness of winter. In search of salvation, animals run to people. If the house's entrance on the porch are open, it would not have frozen. How sad that life and death are irreversible processes, and you cannot just thaw a living creature so it wakes up. This turtle simply petrified from the cold. It's hard to imagine that such creatures are designed for snow and ice at all. The turtle was found near a frozen river and ended up on the road of its own accord. Already frozen, it was attacked by other predators. It was partially eaten by eagles and coyotes. Observers noted that the remaining parts of the turtle felt as hard as granite. Poor turtle. Of course, but imagine if someone tried chewing on it. Definitely not even close to turtle soup. Not only people show compassion for freezing animals, the birds themselves try to help their companions in trouble. The cold is equally unforgiving for everyone. What kind of weather it must be for ducks to freeze in a pond. A pair of ducks got trapped in an icy fountain. The water simply froze around them, depriving them of the ability and space to move. One duck had already frozen, and the drake got stuck trying to help her. This heartbreaking scene makes us understand that every living creature deserves a helping hand, and that kindness is not limited to humans. In March, extreme cold unexpectedly hit the Netherlands. Many rivers and canals froze all of their contents. Overnight, they turned into a skating rink. A goose tragically died in an icy trap, but a father and his newborn goslings were confusedly stomping on the ice, not knowing where to go or what to do. The ice was brittle and could have just as easily swallowed them, if not for the man who came to their rescue. With the help of a net, the man carefully pulled the goslings out and warmed them under his clothes. And after that tragic day, the remaining family found refuge in his home. Would you take these geese into your home? Are you ready for a touching story about a little bird? A kind-hearted man passing by noticed that a bird had ended up in an icy trap. Its legs were frozen to the snowdrift, and it could not move. The stranger carefully shoveled away the snow and chipped away at the ice. When the bird felt it could break free from the ground, it immediately escaped its icy prison and flew away. It's a great story, and we can only applaud the nature lover. When winter comes to some regions of Russia, the temperatures can drop to below -35 degrees Celsius. That's -31 degrees Fahrenheit. It's almost impossible for stray animals to survive. Cats often seek refuge under parked cars, as they give off some warmth for a while. But here's the catch. The snow under the car melts at first, then quickly turns back into ice, and then the cat with long fur is in trouble. This Siberian cat unknowingly fell into a dangerous trap. It warmed up, but got stuck under the car. When the car left, it remained frozen there like a cocoon. Luckily, people noticed and started a rescue operation. They brought out warm water and melted the ice. This must have been done carefully. Remember, if you put your frozen hands under even slightly warm water, they would ache terribly. Thawing is not easy, but the cat was saved, warmed up, and sent to the vet for a checkup. A heartbreaking turn of events forced people to rush into the icy water. The coastline of Newfoundland turned into a massive rescue operation. We love dolphins for their playful and friendly nature, but this time fate dealt them cruelty. A whole pod was trapped in relentless ice. Their skin was very delicate, and they had suffered severe injuries when the waves had thrown them against sharp rocks. Beaten by Arctic ice in shallow water, they lose their ability to return to the ocean. Tight ice formation led them to shore. People stood in the icy water for hours, doing everything they could to help them. The outcome was bittersweet because they could not reach many of the dolphins. However, few were saved from ice captivity, but most of the unfortunate ones were out of reach. Plus, the sad situation was accompanied by unforgiving cold. Nevertheless, a touching story of community efforts to save wildlife. People even cleared the dolphins' blowholes of ice to prevent them from suffocating. I hope the rescued individuals were released back into the wild and did not end up in a dolphinarium. You can pull a fish out of water even if it's heavy, but try pulling a horse out. It's like dragging a hippopotamus out of a swamp. Such a challenge arose in Russia when 11 horses got stuck in an icy pond at once. How they got there was a mystery, but it's extremely difficult for such an animal to survive in cold water. A horse will quickly lose its strength, but fortunately, resourceful farmers began rescue operations in time using machinery and ropes. It's important to not only pull the horse out, but also to not harm it, break its legs or neck. One by one, the horses were pulled out of the icy swamp and taken to the nearest animal medical center for rehabilitation. Everyone deserves such care. For some animals, deep freezing does not mean death. Meet the small amphibian with fantastic abilities living in the North American forests. The wood frog enters a frozen hibernation mode in winter. While other animals seek shelter in burrows, this creature turns into a tiny ice cube. In a state of suspended animation, its heartbeat slows down, digestion stops, and its cells are covered with a layer of glucose to prevent atrophy. And in spring, the frog thaws and returns to its original state. Nature is sometimes some of the most incredible and delightful things in the known universe. This story out of context will sound like a horror movie script. A team of French scientists go on an expedition to explore the depths of a frozen lake in the icy heart of Siberia. An ancient secret is hidden beneath the ice, and they find a monster. An ancient virus comes to life upon thawing. Scary? This is exactly what happened in reality. These viruses came to life and were capable of killing. The Pandora virus and 12 other ancient viruses found at a depth of up to 50 feet are between 48,000 to 27,000 years old and have earned the reputation as the most deadly ever studied. Scientists did not aim to open Pandora's box and release yet another monster, as, on the contrary, the Earth's climate got warmer, and it's necessary to understand how viruses will spontaneously free themselves. For comparison, these viruses were truly gigantic. They were visible in an ordinary light microscope. whereas others can only be seen with an electron microscope. Does that mean that modern people are threatened by ancient infections? This remains to be seen. Recent discoveries have shown that Antarctica is not just a frozen desert. Scientists from the Australian National University have discovered a huge cave system near active volcanoes. The cave corridors were laid by columns of volcanic ash. Inside would be quite cozy for various life forms. In 2019, expeditions discovered moss, algae, and mysterious DNA. Did you know that more than 130 volcanoes have been discovered in the mainland part of Antarctica and in the islands adjacent to it, with 15 of them still active? If each of them has its own cave network, who knows how many undiscovered creatures there might be hiding in there. This is a video for those who think that there's no life in the depths under Antarctica's ice. Scientists managed to drill through the icy surface of the lakes and discover that a thriving ecosystem exists in the icy depths. This unexpected discovery excited the scientific community, and it turns out that there are no limits to life beyond the icy boundary. Do you think that there are completely uninhabited corners of the Earth? Geologists from the Research University of Milwaukee discovered an ancient petrified forest in Antarctica in November 2017. Even if it's so-called summer on this continent, swinging a pickaxe into frozen ground is a titanic task. These fossils date back to 260 million years. We see real tree rings, proving that Antarctica's barren landscape was not always like this. Only 13 fragments of trees were found, but scientists have already concluded that almost half of the continent was once covered in forests. These relics are much older than any dinosaur bones ever found. In fact, Antarctica was something very cool. Until 45 million years ago, there was no ice caps here, but green forests and unseen animals roaming here. I would definitely like to see a virtual installation of this. That's all for today. If you like this episode and want to see something similar or maybe the next part, like, write comments, and subscribe to the Top Facts channel. And right now, you can check out our previous top episodes.